she's clearly a narcissist. She's got borderline personality disorder. She is wired up sociopathically. She's a beautiful woman. She's an intelligent woman, but she couldn't feign authentic compassion or empathy if she tried, because I doubt she actually experiences it.
And Meghan Markle was confronted in the most extraordinary way by the Vice President of Colombia when the Duchess of Sussex decided to get a little bit too close to her husband. Now, what was so fascinating about this is the Colombian VP, Marquez, had been so keen for Meghan to come to her country. She thought this was going to be really great promotion for Colombia. Instead, she quite quickly realized the truth about Murky Meg. Watch this extraordinary footage, captured, of course, not by the mainstream media, but by a citizen journalist in the room. I'll talk you through it. Is Meghan approaching the vice president's husband? She goes in for the kiss, and then you see the vice president seems to almost lunge at her, and Harry steps in immediately, grabs Meghan's hand. But certainly there's been something going on. So there you can see Meghan walks in, gives the hug, boom, boom. And we've paused in that moment where Harry actually puts his hand in Angela, seemingly to get involved. Now, of course, we don't know what was said. We don't know what else has gone on between these two, because of course there was lots of dancing and that sort of thing. And we should absolutely stress that we are not suggesting that there was anything inappropriate. However, don't you find it bizarre that citizen journalists have found this incredible piece of footage, yet no one in the mainstream media has even asked the question? And Alex Armstrong, they didn't ask the question. But Francia Marquez went from being the most famous member of the Sussex squad to one of Meghan's enemies after spending just a couple of days in her presence. What went on?
Oh, who knows, Dan? Who knows? I daren't speculate these days. I might be end up in one of those two-tier prison cells. I'm sure Meghan Markle colludes with him regularly, and they might have a hit list together. But anyone who spends time with this woman seems to have an immediate dislike for her. She has got a list of enemies as long as the original Magna Carta. Honestly, it must be absolutely astonishing. The rumors about her that she's this, wicked person that constantly demands. Her staff, when she did live in the royal household, were constantly leaking because they couldn't stand her. And it's some sort of unprecedented stuff. But what we've heard recently is that Harry's trying to get back into the royal circle. And I don't know, and I don't think Brits are going to have this woman back. I don't think they're going to have her back. And I don't think the royal family are going to want her back, because her reputation precedes her now. The Americans have seen her. This is one of the great things about this year, is that the Americans have finally realized Meghan Markle isn't very great. She's awful. Even South Park have done a whole episode on them and Harry, which is brilliant. But I think this is the year that Meghan Markle really lost her spark with the Americans. We realized it a long time ago. But I think now it's all over, Dan, for Meghan Markle.
Alex Phillips, okay, can we help? Look, let's feel charitable, right? It's the start of the year. You are, in a past life, one of those people behind the scenes who works on public figures' image and how to rehabilitate them and how to make them popular. Is there anything that Meghan Markle can do to turn this around?
Well, I don't know. The problem is, okay, that we understand so much from humans by the way they talk when they're natural, by their body language, by their facial expressions. I mean, most of our communication is actually non-verbal. And the problem with Meghan Markle is she's constantly in actress mode, isn't she? Because she's clearly a narcissist. She's got borderline personality disorder. She is wired up sociopathically. She's a beautiful woman. She's an intelligent woman, but she couldn't feign authentic compassion or empathy if she tried, because I doubt she actually experiences it. So So, you know, in many respects, she's perfect for politics. Maybe she should put her money where her mouth is and do what she said she'd do a long time ago and join the Democrats and try and run for office, because I'm sure she'd actually make quite a convincing politician. But everything she's done otherwise to try and come across, you know, the doe-eyed, beaming princess, constantly holding Harry's hand and putting her hand on his chest and looking up at him with that vulnerable little "I love him" face. I heard in that relationship, and I don't know how true this may be, I heard that he's the one who might be the lesser party, who's the one who's probably a bit vulnerable, really. I won't say much more than that. You know, she should have stuck with acting, because she's an actress. She's constantly in acting mode, but she needs to give up on trying to be the people's princess. That ship has sailed.
What was so interesting, Alex Armstrong, though, is that the Democrats actually didn't want anything to do with her during this election campaign. In 2020, I guess her stock was still considered relatively high in America, and she was certainly a public proponent of Joe Biden, but total radio silence during this election campaign.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised actually, Dan, because I mean they had enough on their hands with Kamala Harris as it was, and unlike Meghan, Kamala seriously cannot act at all, because I think she would have, well, just have a look at her presidential performance. It was absolutely abysmal. The woman couldn't get her words out in coherent sentences, let alone be able to read a script. But Meghan Markle has become a toxic public figure. We've seen celebrities distance themselves from the Markles. I mean, famously, Beyonce, allegedly, has distanced herself from Meghan Markle. So there's got to be truth behind these rumors,
yeah, even Oprah,
that she's not a very nice person.
Even Oprah, and of course, 2024 was the year that the Hollywood Reporter described Meghan as a dictator in high heels and backed up all of the reports that people like me had made during her time in the royal family. So the idea that this was some sort of cultural thing, which Meghan always tried to justify her behavior by saying, oh, they just don't understand me, I'm from Hollywood, we have different standards in Hollywood. Absolutely not true, because the Hollywood Reporter, which is a real lovey publication, exposed the truth about Meghan's behavior in Montecito as well. But look, let's move on in our countdown to number 22. And it is the moment, sorry to be rude, but it is the moment where Kay Burley seemed to climax on Sly News after realising that Labour had won a landslide. This is the most extraordinary piece of broadcasting. Watch.
Oh, whoa. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm going. You can see his face in just a second. You can see how Andy has reacted.
Brilliant.
A Labour landslide.
I mean, Alex Phillips, I'm not exaggerating, right? She is meant to be an impartial news presenter, presenting the election coverage for the off-communist regulated Sly News, and she literally saw the exit poll result and seemed to orgasm.
Yeah, that was gross. I don't ever want to have to hear that again. I'm going to have harrowing dreams tonight. Thank you very much. What a great way to start 2025 with that image. No, this is the problem. All the media, the legacy media, really wanted a Labour government. They didn't hold them to account before the election. The Tories were dreadful, awful. They'd spun this narrative of how evil they were, how chaotic they were, which, you know, they were. But they never asked a tough question of Sir Keir Starmer. Now Labour's in power. They seem unable to do that, because in order to hold Sir Keir Starmer to account, they've also got to admit that they got it wrong themselves in the whole run-up to that election. But, you know, this is why the people are leaving the mainstream media in droves. I think one of the reasons Kay Burley has lasted so long at Sly News is because I think that sound that she's making there is quite familiar to a number of people also at that channel. But so people suggest. But the mainstream media is over, isn't it? The legacy media is over. People are increasingly deserting it, and this isn't because people like Elon Musk are having a laugh and feeding us a load of fake news and brainwashing us. It's because actually the existence of other platforms and the sharing of information have made us realize quite how played we have been for decades by these channels.
Big time, big time. Well, look, apologies, Alex Phillips, but come on. We've got to listen just once more. Just once.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you can see Ruth's face in just a second. You can see how Andy has reacted.
Brilliant.
A Labour landslide.
Alex Armstrong. At least they're not really trying to hide it anymore.
No, you're. I mean, I don't know if they ever were actually, Dan, but they certainly weren't there, to say the least. Her, Beth Rigby, others at Sky News, they have a lot to answer for the reason we're in this mess we are today. And we've seen them all come out. I mean, Beth Rigby recently, it was a few months ago, should I say, when Starmer first took office, had said that in an interview she did with him that she was terrified of him. He was angry. He was angry with her. I mean, what's going on here? Have they really had so much hatred for the Conservative Party and politicians like Nigel Farage that they forgot to do their jobs? And now they're suffering. Sky News are going to suffer dramatically. Even GB News are beating them in the ratings at the moment, which should say something to Sky News. But Kay Burley, unfortunately, is one of those people. She tries to do a little bit of what Piers Morgan does, where she swings where she thinks the country is going to be, and she tries to sail with the winds rather than actually have some morals and some values. And unfortunately, that's going to come back and bite them, all of them, on Sky News on the backside.
Indeed. I mean, I don't think Sky News are long for this world. I really don't. They only have guaranteed funding for a couple more years. Concast, and yes, I did say con rather than Comcast. That's a Trump thing. They're getting rid of MSNBC, their hard left network in the US, and I don't think Sky News is long for this world. And I will not at all mourn its departure. And number 21, though, on the list of the worst of 2024 was Channel 4's decision to launch a vile hit piece against the Hollywood actor Kevin Spacey, despite the fact that this man had been cleared by juries, by courts on both sides of the Atlantic. He decided to give Outspoken his first interview watch. But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. He says they hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin. Recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like Photoshop for your face. You may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view. That's what Lake told reporters. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. He says if this even helps one person look younger or feel more confident, I'll be thrilled knowing I helped. The video has since gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. So far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. One viewer even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you. So you can find out more about this yourself right now. Go to bhmd1.com/outspoken or click on the link in the description box below. So that's bhmd1.com/outspoken. Now, there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So go watch the video, bhmd1.com/outspoken right now, or just click on the description box below. The link is there. But now, back to the show. To start, dear Mr. Spacey, I'm writing to you in order to give you a fair opportunity to reply to statements that we intend to broadcast in a two-part documentary that will be broadcast on Channel 4 on the 6th and 7th of May 2024. Please respond in writing by no later than Monday the 29th of April. So if I've got this right, Kevin, they spent nearly 2 years on this hit piece and they think a fair opportunity is 7 days?
Yeah, and you haven't even got to the good part. These accusations date back to 1976, which is 48 years
of Kevin
ago.
Spacey.
I mean, you have to realize that it took me in the rap case nearly a year to find evidence that proved that he'd lied about this encounter he claimed he had with me, an encounter that never happened. And that was allegedly to have occurred 31 years prior.
And the thing is, Alex Armstrong, Kevin Spacey, and I found him very compelling and very honest. He's not trying to say that all of his behavior was necessarily completely morally upright, but he didn't break the law. And there are a lot of these accusers in the Channel 4 hit piece, and I call them accusers, by the way, not victims, who admitted that they were completely part of it, or they agreed to take money from Spacey, and it was this thing of having regrets after the fact and then trying to ruin this guy's life. I just feel like there is no man who has lost more, but also proven himself now in different legal systems on both sides of the Atlantic. What more do people want?
Well, you know, unfortunately today, Dan, we have trial by social media before trial before the courts. And that's the biggest issue we have in our society, in my opinion, because it really does mean that someone's life is destroyed publicly by pundits and everyone else online before they have a right to trial, a right to defend themselves. And the media have done the most awful, awful, awful things to poor Kevin. I mean, as you said, he's not a beaming beacon of righteousness and good. He has admitted he's made mistakes, and I think that he actually should be applauded for saying that he's, you know, openly coming out and saying, I did make mistakes, I wasn't perfect. But Robbie Williams summed this up brilliantly. This is a man who has also been attacked in vulgar ways by the press over the years. He says we have to forgive people for what they did in the 80s, 90s, 70s, whatever it was, even the early 2000s, because times have changed. What people believe to be the right and good of the day is not the same as it is in the present day. You've got to look back on the past and forgive people who speak in a certain way, who've behaved in a certain way. And he's not saying we excuse heinous acts like rape and things like that and assault. He's saying, but there are certain ways that we used to talk. I mean, like, look at all the things that have been tried to be cancelled in the last few years. We've lost great comedy. We lost Little Britain. Friends has been cancelled by this new generation. When are we going to get a grip? And we should have, I think we've lost something great in Kevin Spacey. I think he's a brilliant actor. I would love to see him make a comeback.
One of our best. And I think there are hopes now for a comeback, Alex Phillips. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because probably Kevin Spacey's only crime was being a deeply tormented man who knew he was gay but could never accept that. And so as a result, he would make approaches to guys who he thought would keep his secret, but he never forced himself on anyone.
Yeah, I remember watching part of that Channel 4 documentary and thinking, what's he actually done wrong here? Like the allegations like, oh, he came and sort of stood close to me while I was waiting to have an autograph. And that's like, really? Like there was just nothing really in it. But of course, despite him being a gay man, he otherwise fits their agenda, doesn't he? He's white. He's middle-aged. He hasn't got any sort of, extreme local accent. He wasn't dragged up from poverty. He's not gender fluid. He's not queer. And so he has to be taken down. There has to be a witch hunt against him. They don't care that there's a human at the end of all of this. What they care about is seen to be crusading on behalf of vulnerable people, on protecting victims the world over. That's the only thing that they care about because it makes them feel better about themselves. So many people on the left love finding victims because it makes them feel a bit better because they think, oh, I'm a bit higher up in the pecking order than this poor soul down here. And they champion these people because they think they sort of shower themselves in moral rectitude. Well, I'm sorry, it's bullying, actually. It's bullying by another name, because when you go after someone like Kevin Spacey, who's done absolutely nothing wrong, because you want to shine a sort of virtuous light upon yourself, you've got a problem, not him.
Big time. Big time. Couldn't have put it better myself. Oh, Alex and Alex, I love you too. Thank you both so much, by the way, for being such a big part of Outspoken in our first year. Alex, I adore your Substack. That's what she said. I honestly think it is so brilliant. You are having the types of conversations that the mainstream media just refuse to have. I implore everyone to sign up. I signed up on day one. I haven't regretted it for one moment. And I reckon it's going to make a real splash, this Substack, in 2025. And Alex Armstrong, your voice just gets louder by the day. One of our biggest influencers now on X. And I think it's fascinating when you look at what happened during the US election. We've seen these sort of commentators emerge organically from outside the mainstream media space via social media. And I think you and Chris Rose and a couple of others are doing just absolutely brilliant work. And, we will hopefully kick off this revolution, right, in 2025. So thank you both so much. Yeah, bring it on. Exactly. But you can get back to bed now, Alex Armstrong.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.